Let's queer up gay culture. Biden honors Matthew Shepard on the 25th anniversary of his death and warns of increasing LGBTQ violence. President Joe Biden acknowledged the 25th anniversary of Matthew Shepard's death on Thursday and condemned the nation's recent uptick in anti-LGBTQ plus violence and threats and active violence. Shepard was a University of Wyoming freshman who was abducted, robbed, and beaten into a coma on October 6, 1998. The two men who attacked Shepard tied him to a fence in freezing weather. He was discovered 18 hours later by a bicyclist who initially mistook him for a scarecrow. Shepard died in a Colorado hospital on October 12, 1998, surrounded by family. The two assailants, McKinney and Russell Henderson, were sentenced to life in prison for first-degree murder, but they were not charged with hate crimes. At the time, attacks motivated by victims' sexual orientation or gender identity did not qualify as hate crimes under Wyoming law. In a statement, President Biden said, quote, "Matthew's tragic and senseless murder shook the consciousness of the American people, and his courageous parents, Judy and Dennis Shepard, turned Matthew's memory into a movement, galvanizing millions of people to combat the scourge of anti-LGBTQ hate and violence in America," end quote. I was going into my freshman year of high school when this happened. And I was terrified when this happened. It was something that my very religious parents did not know how to address with us. And it wasn't until my senior year when I had the opportunity to speak in my government class about the gay rights movement, where I was able to actually research more about Matthew Shepard and his death and what all happened. It changed me as a human being and got me into advocacy. Seeing what his parents did, Angels in America, which came out first, and all the beauty and tragedy that play was, it really has shaped our culture in bigger ways than people can imagine. I am just so happy that our president acknowledged it and gave us a voice in such challenging times, especially what we're facing here in Florida and across our country. Matthew, we honor and we remember you. Thank you. And we miss you.
You know, you took it like right where my mind was, and I remember where I was, precisely where it was. And the memory that I have is I went from feeling terrified by the news, right? And then on the university campus where I was, there was a vigil. And it was the volume of people that were there to really sort of stand in a place to say that this was not where we should be headed as a country, not where we should be headed in terms of our, support for the community. And so there was a dark moment, but then I looked at this and said, okay, not everybody sort of is standing in this position of hate. And it was just a quick sort of change of mind in my mind there, right? But it was important because I really was like, this world isn't safe, but it quickly changed. And, my heart and mind goes to Judy and Dennis. I mean, what they've done in the wake of this tragedy has been tremendous, from federal legislation to a lot of grassroots work all the way down to support people to combat hate crimes all across the country. So my heart goes out to them.
I love that. I love that. Thank you for sharing that with us, Orlando, because I think that's one of the things I think everybody remembers in LGBTQ where they were when they found out about this story, and again, and it also was a conversation that my parents weren't ready to have with me either, but they had to because it was in the news. So, Matthew Shepard's legacy is an incredible one. And I hope that, I really do feel that his family knows that, the fact that a hate crime will be attached to somebody else that does something horrible like this, that's because of Matthew Shepard's, unfortunate death. That, others might not get away with that, and today we remember that.
I want to clarify, Angels in America came out at the same time as the Laramie Project, which was based on, I remember I was, I was at the National Thespian Convention, in case I wasn't gay enough, and they actually had a performance of the Laramie Project for all of the high schools that were present. And when they walked out wearing the angel wings, oh my God, the cheers from everybody in the audience, I was crying just to see that the community standing tall and protecting one of their own. It was so beautiful.
One of the things that that is sobering about this recognition, in the late 90s, we've gone through the real height of AIDS. The 80s, it was happening and we're caught off guard. But the real devastating political effects are in the 90s. And along comes this moment. And of course, the senseless and barbaric murder that this was in Wyoming, terrible. The event is terrible. But what is really memorable to me is, frankly, what Orlando said, that the reaction in so many places around America is this cannot stand. And we cannot accept. And if this is where America is going, we need to stand up and say loudly and in unison, no. And that's what happened in this moment. Your story about the Laramie Project and this national young people's thespian event, the sad thing about this event is there was so much hope in the immediate time of the news about Matthew Shepard. And in the next couple of years, Clinton was really clear of his words about Matthew Shepard and what it meant for America that something like this would happen. What's sad to me is that we moved to an anniversary 25 years later, and there is so much horrible hate speech going on that can lead to these kind of moments. And that's the legacy 25 years later of many places in America, including Wyoming, including, shockingly, Florida. And to the proof of that, the Laramie Project could not be done in any high school in Florida or any thespian festival for young people in Florida today, 25 years later. The anniversary is marked with a very significant level of increase in hate. And like immediately after Matthew Shepard's death, we must all unite and stand and say, this will not stand. That's the only way to celebrate 25 years of this horrible anniversary that led to so much great change for America. And we have to do it again, or otherwise we're going to repeat terrible things in our country.
Keep watching the only television news in the world from our LGBTQ+ community and stay informed on everything that is important for and about our diverse LGBTQ+ community.